a 2020 National Academy Sciences report definitively concluded that directed pulsed radio frequency energy was the most likely cause. This is not idle speculation, it's real. And there are reports of Russian development of the similar types of weapons. In fact, the Russian defense minister in 2012, Anatoly Serdyakov, he mentioned psychotronic weapons in military plans. There's an American expert, James Giordano, who said that Russia and China have developed advanced microwave technology capable of causing brain injuries. There was a US company that prototyped such a device in 2004. There's a 2023 intelligence report which says that some incidents could involve pulsed electromagnetic energy from concealed devices. So let's put psychotronic weapons into our grab bag of possible explanations. Now, I will admit, and I have admitted as a mea culpa, that I've deliberately avoided the abduction phenomenon for a long time. It all seemed too hard. It was so easy to dismiss this as crazy, unexplainable, best avoided. I just didn't want to get into the inevitable conflict of suggesting that these so-called experiences were fabulists or mentally ill. It seemed so crazy an idea that it was easier to focus on the sensible stuff of UAP research. Sensible things like radar sensors, videos, corroborated by witness reports from credible, unbiased people like pilots and the like. I acknowledge now it's kind of a funny double standard because we all know from AI just how easy it is now to fake plausible-looking videos and sensor data. So why do we shy away from reporting alien abduction, alien encounter experience phenomenon when there are so many direct first-person witnesses willing, clamoring to testify? I think these first contact events, direct contact events, are actually the elephant in the room. And we're diminishing ourselves by not acknowledging them and beginning to engage with them. Like a lot of mainstream journalists, I once gullibly accepted a lot of the explanations for abductions, like the one that was promoted 43 years ago by the program I used to work for in Australia. Just last week, my old TV show reposted a 1982 story they did well before I even got into UFOs. They were telling the story of Travis Walton, who I was hoping was going to be here, but apparently he's not. And he told the story of being abducted by aliens. It's a well-known story. He was a forestry worker working in the woods with his crew. They see a light, his crew flee, but he walks towards the light and then he's abducted, pulled into the air by a beam of energy and eventually taken for 5 days. In the same story, there was a Minnesota sheriff, Val Johnson, who told the story of his 1979 encounter with a beam of light that damaged his car and stopped his wristwatch. He was knocked unconscious, woke up with a shattered windscreen, a stopped clock, and eye damage that doctors confirmed was compared to a welder's burn. Now look, I'm not proud of what I did, but I can remember smugly giggling when I watched that story all those years ago and facetiously chuckling about what Travis and Sheriff Val were saying. Without too much thought, I concluded, like so many people do, this is wacky nonsense. It can't be, therefore it isn't. And I think that's how most people operate as a default mode. Now, 43 years ago, I was fascinated because I've gone back and re-investigated the reasons why this 60 Minutes show was so convincing. They said that the beam of light was caused by some kind of geomagnetic disturbance, perhaps an earthquake that generated electromagnetic signals in the disturbance that caused hallucinations, dreamlike sensations, interference with memory in each man's brain. There was a plausible scientist saying this. Rewatching the story last week, I felt terribly sorry for Travis. He pleaded with the reporter, going, it was no delusion, this was real. But it was a foregone conclusion. Viewers were left in absolutely little doubt that it was scientifically, prosaically explained These hallucinations supposedly explained Travis Walton's experience. I like going back and reinvestigating things that have been accepted truths. And this was a fascinating one for me because the scientist who'd promoted this idea was a guy who's apparently a very reputable scientist, and I'm not being nasty about him. His name was Michael Persinger, a Canadian scientist. And he told the show that he'd discovered this correlation between luminous orb light events, UFOs, and earthquakes. And implausible as it may sound today, this somehow became his answer for the 2 mystery UFO sightings that the show featured. And we all just accepted that explanation. There was a poignant and tragic moment in the last moments of the story where Travis said that this was probably the last interview he would ever do. And thankfully, he did keep on doing interviews. But you could see the pain and the humiliation of having his credibility constantly challenged and how that had damaged Travis. He looked defeated. Viewers had been invited to conclude that Travis had deluded himself because he'd been knocked unconscious by some kind of natural light event, perhaps caused by earthquakes. A credible scientist, Dr. Persinger, had said this is so. It can't be, therefore it isn't. So here's the thing. This is the fun part, and this is the sort of stuff I like doing. Dr. Persinger went on to develop what's called the God helmet, a device that induced magnetic fields into a human subject's brain in a sensory-deprived environment to try and prove his UFO earthquake correlation paranormal phenomena theory. He dramatically claimed extraordinary proof that 80% of participants experienced a sensed presence or other paranormal-like sensations when exposed to the God helmet's magnetic field. 1% of subjects claimed encounters with God. Now, I can remember seeing the stories about the God helmet and thinking, well, that really knocks it out of the park. These UFO things, they're complete bollocks. It's bullshit. But here's the twist. I recently learned, when I did my research, that multiple double-blind studies done all over the world had actually failed repeatedly to replicate Dr. Persinger's claimed results. It turns out his claims were weak at best, far from conclusive, not definitive proof of anything. As it stands today, the scientific consensus actually leans against Dr.